Belle and Sebastian, a bit of previous album review. Let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album from legendary Scottish indie pop act Belle and Sebastian. You know who they are by now, and if you don't, then you would consider yourself a fan of indie pop or chamber pop or classic indie rock. You have a lot of work to do. Their early albums like Tiger Milk, my personal favorite if you're feeling sinister, as well as the wonderfully gloomy The Boy with the Arab Strap, are just early examples of just how powerful their sound could be. Peppy music, somber vocals, orchestrations, usually very gloomy lyrics. It's such a simple formula, but it worked for them for quite a while. For me, though, like many others, it's the 2000s where things get really hit and miss with Belle and Sebastian. Fold Your Hands, Child has always been a very hit and miss album to me. I thought it had some great tracks here and there, but the consistency of it was a major drop off from their early work. And no, I was not pleased when I heard Storytelling either. But for me, I had a couple of bounce back years. I've always thought the majority of Dear Catastrophe Waitress was pretty enjoyable. And with 2006's very underrated The Life Pursuit, I felt like the band was ready to turn a new leaf. They took their classic style, the tender, lovelorn lyrics, the tales of youth and the free spirit of their early work, but just polished it up a little bit, just enough so that it sounded new, and so much of this album was so good. But then they went on to follow it up with Right About Love, and it was just so tame and bland and nothing new or exciting. And, I've always thought that Girls in Peacetime Want to Dance had a lot of fun moments. I know a lot of people hate this album, but I thought it had some fun ideas, but it was a little much. Now, the last time I talked about them was their trio of How to Solve Our Human Problem EPs, which mostly, I thought was pretty enjoyable. Maybe not perfect, but I liked a lot of the ideas here. Then we had Days of the Bagnalled Summer, and still don't have any real concrete thoughts on it. Just so middle of the road. It's been tough, and a lot of the singles leading up to this new album didn't exactly make this review much more promising on paper. Let's chat about this. Now, I will say this, leading up to this album, a lot of the singles I wasn't into. As a matter of fact, they made me worry about a lot of this album. Thankfully, though, a lot of the deep cuts actually make up for it and are actually a lot better than most of the singles. Talk to Me proves that this album isn't a complete wasteland. This track is actually bouncy and fun and, just has a little energy, has a little pep in its step. The synths are a really nice addition, too. It's not like Belle and Sebastian are completely unable to spruce up their sound a little bit. This is just fun, and like I said, hearing a little energy in the band actually makes this album, much easier to listen to. It's one of the most immediate tracks here. It actually, really reminds me of a simpler time with the band. It's really well written too. Reclaim the Night is really nice to listen to as well. It's pretty much Belle and Sebastian by the books, outside of these odd cosmic synths that pop in. I don't hate it though. I like it, as a matter of fact. It's a very quaint, very somber chamber pop tune with some actually interesting twists and turns. But it's got some serious heart to it. It shows them taking some risks. There's even a little new disco influence, which I don't hate as well. It's got heart, it's got soul, and it's not cheesy, even though it very well could have been. And I've sung its praise for a while now. Unnecessary Drama is such a diamond in the rough. This track is a triumph and a really great single. It's easily the heaviest and most upbeat track here, but hearing this in this sea of tracks that are very much so a mixed bag actually excited the hell out of me. And a lot of the things I just mentioned, the driving riff especially, is things that, raise some red flags when it comes to Belle and Sebastian fans. But this is anthemic and so freaking catchy and fun and really likable. This is how you do a modern sound from these legends. By the way, it sticks with a lot of the lyrical themes from the album, so it absolutely fits. Come On Home is really great as well. This shows Belle and Sebastian going for almost like a lounge vibe. That's gonna raise some more red flags for a long time fans, but I feel like this is so obviously good. It's just so quaint and cozy and sweet on the ears, especially when that big chorus pops around. And ironically, listening to this like the first couple of times, I thought it almost sounded like oddly enough like Belle and Sebastian trying to do a holiday tune, and the longer this track goes on, I feel like it sounds even more like that, but it's It's done really tastefully, but there is still a lot of material here that is just, simply put, very middle of the road. I've thought that about Young and Stupid since it dropped as a single, and sadly, my thoughts haven't changed on it very much, even though I hope they would. It's just very average. It's very middle of the road. I mean, it's not terrible, that's for sure. Like, it's not a bad track, but this sounds like, I don't know, like 40 other Belle Sebastian tracks that they've dropped since the year 2000. And you may like it. You may love it. I know people that love it, but it's just not where I want to hear them right now. I have a lot of the same feelings on If They're Shooting at You. This sounds like anything off of the last 5 Belle Sebastian records. It just doesn't really move me either way. And yes, it has some sharp, very poignant lyrics, which I appreciate, but that's about it. That's kind of where the buck stops with me. And this ho-hum, lackadaisical instrumental that's not really as elegant as you'd think it would be, just doesn't really move me either. So much so, I almost didn't even review this album. Do It For Your Country has lessened on me massively since this album came out. I actually think it's the worst track here. It's certainly pleasant on the ears, but man, it is just in one ear, out the other, without really stopping me. Profits on Hold. Once again, I sound like a broken freaking record. It's not terrible. It's not the worst thing the band has ever put out, but it doesn't move me. Yeah, sure, it's got a punchy riff and a nice groove to it, even a nice chorus that I don't actually hate, but this sounds like a leftover from Girls in Peacetime Wanna Dance. But even in that case, it sounds like it was left off the album for good reason. These vocals don't stand up, especially compared to some of the better tracks here. Look, I wanted to like this album. I wanted to love this album. It's just such a freaking mixed bag. A World Without You. It's okay. It's okay. I don't mind the whimsical instrumental. It's actually pretty full of life. Vocal-wise, though, this doesn't hold up, and it's a real misfire. On the other hand, Deathbed of My Dreams might be the most true to form Belle Sebastian track here. It's easily the most melancholy thing here, but it's very dreary, but it's also really beautiful and tender at the end of the day. It's really nice. It's so simple, but very effective. And with Sea of Sorrow, they certainly had the right idea to begin with. The very bleak, desolate atmosphere that we get here, just matched up with these very sweet and tender vocals. They certainly, were on the right track. But I feel like this track just runs out of ideas really quickly. I feel like this should have been a 3-minute track, but it's almost a 6-minute track. It just runs short on ideas. Like Working Boy in New York City is so much of a better track, and I'm glad that they, end this album off on a solid note. This track is a whole lot smoother. What you're getting lyrically, it's very youthful, it's very innocent, it's very sweet. Not only that, but it's also really soulful at times, and that comes off nice. At the end of the day, it's one of the catchiest tracks here, and it's a complete thought, which is something I always love to hear. I wanted to like this album. I thought a lot of the deep cuts were really good, but the fact of the matter is, so much of this album just doesn't move me. It doesn't, it's not turning me off to the album, but it's certainly not making me want to listen to this album again. Hey, there's some great material here on here. Unnecessary Drama is fantastic. I love the single. It's probably going to be one of my favorite singles of the year. It amps me up just thinking about it. But the fact of the matter is, so much of this material sounds like it could have landed on any of the last 5 or 6 Belle Sebastian projects, and that's not a compliment. I'm feeling a light 6 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.